Okay, so the most important tourism story from the World Cup might not be the games itself. It might be what happens after the games are gone. Because right now, during the games, it's kind of hard to tell. Because there's celebrations going on everywhere. And I know for a fact that most of the world is actually cheering for Belgium. And I'm so glad they won. Because I'm just going to say it, but cheaters should not be winning. But with the tournament more than halfway done and the casual US fans just going back to what they were doing before, reality is starting to set in. And businesses in host cities are now starting to report that even during the games, they never saw the World Cup boost that they were promised. So I have to ask a question. I mean, if these businesses are saying this now in the heart of the World Cup time, how's it going to be once the World Cup is gone? We know that US hospitality jobs fell for the month of June, and that's like when the World Cup started. And we know for a fact that hotel bookings in all host cities were down, including the host city of Vancouver, where I'm from. And it really makes you wonder, with all the celebrations happening in the host cities, where are these people from if the hotels have vacancy? Well, the only answer I have is they're probably local fans. But FIFA doesn't want anybody to know that. They just want to paint a great picture that everyone's having a great time. But today, I'm going to show 3 businesses in host cities that didn't get the World Cup boom that they were promised. And if you ask me, this is foreshadowing what's going to happen once the FIFA World Cup is done. So let's get started with the first report out of Los Angeles.
Merchants on Olvera Street went into the World Cup with high hopes. Back in May, they told us they were counting on fans to provide a much-needed boost to business. But more than halfway through the tournament now, we're learning that isn't happening. Our Amber Frias has the concern today from vendors.
For generations, Olvera Street has welcomed visitors from around the world. This summer, merchants thought the World Cup would help reverse years of declining tourism.
Now let me pause here for a moment. We've been hearing for like the last half a year that the World Cup is going to be the savior for US tourism. And we weren't just hearing this from like host cities. And one video that comes to my mind when I wanted to create this one is out of Colorado. Let me show you.
The tourism industry hopes events like America's 250th, Colorado's 150th, and the World Cup, even though it's not in Colorado, will be a boon for the year.
As I'm talking to hoteliers, depending on the type of hotel, advanced bookings are not great. But one of the things we are counting on is the FIFA World Cup will bring people to the United States. And yes, we are counting on the US 250, Colorado 150 celebration for the whole year, but particularly this summer.
Yeah, that aged like spilled milk in the desert. I'm not gonna lie, I've been waiting to use this clip since like March, because I knew it would be bullshit. I mean, this tourism official was banking on the World Cup when they're not even hosting the game. I mean, he was seriously expecting like foreigners to come to the United States, go watch a game, then head to like Pikes Peak in Colorado? I mean, most of the World Cup fans, they're there to watch the game. And chances are, since a lot of teams have been knocked out, many of them have already left. But I wanted to show this clip to show the delusional state that the United States was in, thinking that the World Cup is going to be their savior. I really have to say, I've been waiting to use this clip for so long.
Instead,
it helped very little.
Edward Flores, whose family has owned Juanita's Cafe since the 1940s, says the expected surge never came.
It's been very difficult to get the visitorship and the foot traffic here that we used to have.
Flores says foot traffic has dropped dramatically. He estimates Olvera Street once drew between 1 million and 2 million visitors a year, but says foot traffic has fallen to about 300,000 in recent years.
Now, I've been to LA quite a few times, but I've never been to Olvera Street. I mean, it just wasn't on my radar. But to me, it sounds like they got a different problem. And the World Cup was never going to fix it.
We've had many merchants, at least 24 legacy merchants that have shuttered their businesses. We've had new merchants come in and take over their shops and close up as well.
Of those that are left, he says many have reduced their hours. And others, including himself, have had to find other sources of income to keep their doors open.
People are using retirement funds, Social Security, and people are doing Ubering, and that's absolutely ridiculous to have to be actually doing a side job in order to maintain a business here on Olvera Street.
Yeah, it does sound a little bit ridiculous, but you can bet that these vendors would probably love to have the regular tourists back. And I'm going to guess that a lot of them didn't really realize how much they depend on international tourists.
Flores says the challenges have been building for years. He attributes the decline to slow tourism after the pandemic, fears surrounding immigration, and the growing homeless population in the area.
No business is safe here on the street anymore, so it's difficult at all levels to do business here.
Flores worries that without more visitors, Olvera Street family-owned businesses and the history they've preserved for generations could disappear.
So they were just showing one street in LA, and I'm sure there are other streets in LA and other host cities that are also struggling as well. And if you follow my channel, you would have remembered a video I did where an LA hotel only had 37% booked and 35% booked for July. Now, did this guy hit his forecast? I have no idea. They never did another report on him. But if I had to guess, I'd say maybe he's slightly under his forecast. That's if he decided to drop his prices. But the point of me showing this is that if these hotels are at these levels of occupancy, then that means there's not very many international tourists. If there's not that many international tourists, then that means that all these other businesses are not getting money either. The warning signs were already there before the World Cup started. Now I want to move on to the next report in the Bay Area out of San Jose.
I am sitting in what would be a prime viewing location here at San Pedro Square for any World Cup match. But for a Team USA or Mexico match, this place would be packed. But if you take a look around me right now, it is pretty empty after both Team USA and Mexico lost in the round of 16.
Now, I recall tourism officials and media in the US saying that as the rounds go by, things are going to get busier and busier. Kind of like this report I talked about 2 months ago, where they said majority of the bookings will be within 2 months, or even during the tournament as teams advance out of the group stage. Well, we're past that stage right now. And with Canada, the United States, and Mexico, the host cities all knocked out, it also means that the casual fans in the United States are probably not interested anymore. So now that we're in the knockout stages, do you think these international tourists are going to come over now? I think we all know the answer to that one.
The San Jose area has seen a lot of big events in the last year. The Super Bowl, March Madness, and now the World Cup.
Nothing has been compared to the World Cup so far. This is the most amount of people I've ever seen on this block. It's the most amount of people I've ever seen just at one time down here ever.
This is what San Pedro Square looks like during a Mexico group stage game. Packed to capacity, people were turned away. City leaders moved the watch party for Mexico's round of 16 game to the SAP Center to allow for bigger crowds. But after Mexico and the U.S. lost, O'Flaherty's bartender, Ben Nunes, says he expects things to taper off.
Now we can breathe finally.
Ooh, careful what you wish for, buddy. Because you don't know what you got until it's gone. And any remaining World Cup fans that are watching right now, you should appreciate them. Because once the World Cup is over, I think reality is going to set in for the United States.
Well, no, I mean, the bar's been so packed and so busy, and if you've seen the pictures of just the amount of people, like, right next to each other, you know, now it's going to be a little more spread out, you know, maybe a little more enjoyable for the viewing pleasure.
Just a few hours after Colombia fell to Switzerland, the square was empty. While it may be less busy, Nunes is confident some people will still come out for the remaining games.
We're definitely going to get the more of the football fans. You know, instead of the casual, I'm supporting my country fan.
That's true, and you should treasure this time while you have them. Because once the tournament is over, you're only going to have your domestic tourists and locals to depend on. Now, I'm going to skip the rest of this report because they just talked to a local U.S. resident and they, basically get his vibe on how the World Cup has been, which I don't think is relevant right now. But I do want to move on to the next report, which is out of Seattle.
A packed light rail train headed downtown on a FIFA game day is a good sign.
USA! USA!
Is anyone else annoyed by that, or am I the only one? I'm just really curious. It just makes me cringe every time I hear that now.
But no one getting off at the Columbia City station is not. The station, a coffee shop located right next to the light rail, penned a social media post saying, quote, "The event has not brought the expected foot traffic to local businesses," which led to a fiery discussion, some calling the owner unrealistic for blaming the city.
Well, I think there's a lot of people to blame for this. I mean, the expectation in the current climate, and with everything going wrong with your country, I'm not surprised at all when it comes to the lack of, boost in business. But this is just my opinion as well, and, my thoughts. But I don't think World Cup fans are, looking for coffee. They might get one to, sober up, but they're looking for a beer. And they're looking to be, right in the middle of the city or, in the area where the FIFA fan zones are. I mean, if you look at this map of Seattle, the red pin is where this coffee shop is. And the ugly face, that's where the stadium is. And that's where everything is happening. So I think it's kind of unrealistic to have a random coffee shop in the Columbia City area expect to benefit from the World Cup. If I had to compare it back home to Vancouver, that would be like a 7-Eleven in New Westminster, complaining that he didn't benefit from the World Cup that's happening in downtown Vancouver. Seriously, give me a break.
You gotta be careful, because it's a little spicy.
One light rail stop north, across from the Mount Baker light rail station, there's an ad you cannot miss.
One spoon, that's all you get though.
Avi Fernandez is the manager of El Rinconcito.
We've had a lot of influx. We've had a lot of people that come in. We have Australians that came in for the Australian game, which was awesome.
But Fernandez agrees more could have been done to spread the word about the small business gems spread throughout the city.
It's half and half. The city itself has to at least acknowledge what we have going on down here, that it has been cleaned up, and then from there also the businesses need to promote themselves and not just rely on the city.
Now, my spidey senses are kind of getting a little bit of a victim mentality here. I don't know, that's just what I'm feeling right now. But whether the city of Seattle needs to help their business, I don't care. It's not my city. But what I am pointing out is how these businesses were so reliant on the World Cup being a big boost for them. And my prediction for once the World Cup is done, we're going to have a whole shitload of reports from the United States from businesses saying, we lost a lot of money, or we hired extra staff and we didn't need it. Or we were told that there's going to be a big boom and it never happened. Kind of like this article that came out from The Guardian. They had hyped us up so much. Seattle businesses near World Cup stadiums report declining sales. I don't have time to read this one out, but if you want to read it on your own, I'll leave a link in the description below.
Because that's not fair either way.
As for the patrons themselves,
USA! USA!
Oh my god, shut up.
they say diving straight into the crowd downtown is exactly what they're looking for.
It's kind of like Disneyland. Before each of the matches, like each item, the wristbands and the flag, everything had another line attached to it, but that was just part of the experience.
We reached out to the Seattle Office of Economic Development and they declined to comment, saying that the city of Seattle never put out any specific recommendations to small businesses on how to handle certain events. Live in Columbia City, Sharon Yu, King 5 News.
Now, what I just showed you is businesses from 3 different host cities in the United States, all reporting that during the peak season of the World Cup, their business is down. And for the first few weeks of the World Cup, we didn't hear any of this. It was all like cheering and celebrating and everything was great, potpourri and flowers. But with a lot of the host cities now completed all of their games, reality is going to set for a lot of US cities. And we're probably going to see a lot of reports of businesses doing the blame game. Like, I was told that this is going to be a boom, or they hyped us up, or I hired extra staff because I was told it was going to be busy. Kind of like this guy right here.
Today, not too much people. We invest money, we hire people, we change our menu, we have a new drink menu, we have a new food menu. But today, not too much people.
Fernando Villegas, the restaurant owner that you saw in the report, tells me that he plans on holding off with regards to any potential staff reductions. He's holding out hope that the remaining games will be much more beneficial.
Well, that report came out like 2 weeks ago, maybe 2.5 weeks ago. And to be honest, I'm actually really curious to see how that guy is doing. Like, whether it did pick up for him or if it dropped off even more. Although I'm not sure how it could drop off even more than what it's at. But the point of my video is to let everybody know that we're more than halfway done the party. And all the casual domestic fans, they're gone. They don't care about it anymore. And it's only going to be the die-hard fans in the United States and the one that actually flew over. Which we also know that flights from overseas are down as well. It doesn't leave very many customers for these businesses to take advantage of. Well, that didn't sound right. But I think you understand what I mean. So it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next like 2 or 3 weeks, and especially once the World Cup finishes. And I think reality is going to really set in again for the US on what the current state of their country is, but not only the country, but the tourism industry. But you can be sure that I'm going to be waiting, and I'm itching to see these reports come out. So I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the World Cup, like being more than halfway done, do you think the United States is going to get a boost, or is it going to decrease even more? Let everybody know your thoughts in the comments below. To close off this video, I have another photo again from Waynard from our Discord server, this time from Harrison Lake in British Columbia. I'll be honest, I actually don't recognize this vantage point, but this is like Harrison Hot Springs, right? Let me know in the Discord server, but I appreciate you helping to post this and share it with the community. Alright everyone, that's it for this video. If you found any value in anything I said today, or you want to hear more from a Canadian and international point of view, without the US media bias, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button below. That way you'll be notified of my future videos. And don't forget to hit the bell icon and select all as well. Now, if you want to see more of my videos, check out the ones that are going to show up on your screen shortly. Thanks everyone, I'll catch you in the next one.